Hey folks, it's Evgeny from Day One Careers, and welcome to this new episode of our live show, which is the Amazon free Amazon interview coaching with myself and Gigi, who is running just a tiny bit late, and she's going to be with us very soon. So you're gonna get all of us for the whole hour. So, folks, first of all, let me tell you a little bit about what you can expect in the show. A little bit of housekeeping, and then we will get straight into it. And while I'm chatting away, could you please use the chat box to tell me if you can hear me, see me, because you know how these things are always happening with technology. Who knows? Maybe my mic doesn't work. And let me know where you guys are dialing in from. We always want to know where everyone is listening to these shows. So, as you guys probably know, Day One Careers is a business that Gigi and I run together. We focus on getting you guys the best possible content to help you prepare for behavioral interviews at Amazon. So both Gigi and I used to be Amazonians. We were hiring managers. We were interviewers. Both were actually senior marketing leaders. And then on top of everything, Gigi was also a bar raiser. And if you've been watching our videos here, you know who the bar raiser is, what their job is. And so, yeah, so you can trust our expertise with everything that has to do with behavioral interviews. With functional stuff, not so much, but behavioral stuff, this is really what we do. So at some point in time, we both started noticing during the interviews and hiring processes that even for candidates with outstanding functional profiles, great resumes and CVs, some interview processes would not turn out well because purely due to their interviewing skills. And so we started building our side businesses. So I started Day One Careers. She started the Amazon Interview Wiz Academy. And then at some point in time, one of the candidates who worked with both of us, she said that we should meet. So we met and then decided to merge our businesses under the brand Day One Careers. And so there you go. You have us. So the way that we run this show is, folks, we will answer all questions related to behavioral interviews at Amazon and anything around that. If you just post your question into the chat box, any question, no question is a bad question. We're gonna try and we're gonna bring it up on the screen and try and answer it. So keep things to all things behavioral interviews, because if you're interviewing for, let's say, a data center construction manager role next week, and you want some of the tips on the functional assessment, unfortunately, we won't be able to be much use because we never hired data center construction people, and there are thousands of job families in a company the size of Amazon. So if you could keep things to all things behavioral, then we'll make sure that this is up our street and our expertise is relevant. And here is Gigi. And Gigi, I'm just talking about a little bit of housekeeping.
Okay, cool. I'm fighting with my blinds.
Yeah, fantastic. And so, so keep things to all things behavioral interviewing, and this make sure that our expertise will be relevant. And folks, if you have a long question, make it a multi-part question, because you will quickly see that the chat box doesn't allow you to paste a lot of characters. So just post it like a Twitter thread with kind of, first part, second part, third part, and when we answer your question, we will make sure to kind of locate all the different parts in the chat stream. And I think that's all we have. So let's just see what we have in the chat box here. So we've got I'm not her.
Oh,
Who
but I'm not
is
her is back.
Yes, I'm not her is back. I'm not her has been attending these sessions for as long as I remember them, to be honest. So the question is, hey guys, good to see you. I will be receiving the results of my interview this week. Any tips on salary negotiation? Shall I take this, Gigi, while you're looking for the next question for yourself?
Well, I don't have to look very far because there's not many of them. But yes, by all means, you take it's your favorite topic anyway. So absolutely, you shoot. And anyone else who's on the call, please do drop your question in there. Otherwise, We'll finish early, and I can go and eat my husband's chicken dinner.
Oh, okay. So there is a roast
There
chicken
is a
today.
chicken. It's just not my chicken.
Mm. Which comes to me, I do have a tray of amazing chicken wings that I made yesterday that I can still reheat and eat as well. But
Anyway,
anyway,
salary negotiation.
salary negotiation, right? So right, folks. So I'm not her for salary negotiation. The I guess the biggest tip is do your research on the ranges that are at Amazon for your level and your role, and do your research on offers for your role and your level, and also your location, um, because in most cases candidates well, in fact, most candidates don't negotiate. So I guess maybe maybe the biggest input that I can give you is um, uh, don't be afraid to negotiate, because Amazon will not just walk away from your offer because you decided to negotiate in good faith. And then when you do decide to negotiate, in order to prepare yourselves for a negotiation, you need to figure out what is a range for your job family, your level, and your location, and what offers have been made recently, right? Because these ranges change and the offers change depending on the labor market in that particular location. And try to see if there are any reasons for you to almost like inflate the urgency on the Amazon side and demonstrate to them that actually you have other options. So that's kind of like broadly your strategy. We do have a course that we recommend to everyone who will be negotiating. It's called Amazon Salary Negotiation Wiz. We call it Salary Negotiation Wiz because that's what everyone is searching for, but actually it's about total compensation at Amazon. So the course will teach you how to negotiate your total compensation at Amazon, and will tell you who is a decision maker, how the whole thing works, so that you know exactly what's required from you. You'll find it on our website. So that would be my response.
Perfect.
You
Right.
gonna pick the next one?
So, nope. Very comprehensive as always. Okay. So, okay, what are the key leadership principles for a WHS specialist L4? Okay. So, I have no idea what a WHS specialist L4 is. To Yevgeny's point, when we all started out here, there are tens of thousands of different job families and job titles in Amazon. We don't know every single one of them off by heart, and we certainly don't know the key leadership principles for every single one of them. But there is a way, Carsten, for you to find this out. The first and maybe most obvious one is just to ask your recruiter. There's no harm done by asking your recruiter if they can tell you what the key leadership principles are that the hiring manager is looking for in that particular role. Chances of success there, I'd say, are about 50-50. We hear some candidates do, some candidates don't. So, but no harm in asking. Um, the other thing that you can do is look at the job description. There is a video there's two videos actually in a playlist on the YouTube channel, which is called Job Description Deconstruction or something along those lines. And it's basically me demonstrating live how you can go through your job description line by line by line, picking out keywords and associating those keywords with one of the Amazon leadership principles. So I would definitely suggest that even if you have asked your recruiter, that you go check out that video and try and learn how to do that for yourself. The final thing you can do, if you so choose, is I offer a service, a paid for service, where I will do that on your behalf. But definitely do number one and do number two first. And then if you really feel stuck and don't have any sense of the direction you need to go in, then you can always check out our website and see if you would like to get me to do that for you. All right, let me put Carsten back and you can maybe pick the next one.
Cool. So here's the next one. Oh gosh, is it Tihan? I don't know. Sorry if I just butchered your name there, because Day One Careers is a world famous show where we butcher people's names.
Yes, we're well known for butchering people's names. Even your name, I managed to butcher. So
Everyone
yeah,
does, so it doesn't make you that original,
just
unfortunately.
change
But
just change your name. Call yourself Bob or something.
Yeah, why not? I always wanted to call myself Bob. But the question here is about complexity. So, how do you show complexity in your stories other than the length of your response? So, to be honest, I mean, the real and the honest answer is it depends, because it depends on what's the context of where you operate, and and in every single story, in every single situation, the source of that complexity will be different. Now, the length of your response in itself isn't something that shows complexity. It's just a byproduct of
Mm.
you needing to share some details about your story that demonstrate complexity. I will also say that um, just because your story is more complex doesn't necessarily make it longer. It does in some cases, and in some cases it doesn't. So don't necessarily just think that 100% of stories that show complexity of problem solving, or complexity of problem that you solved in the actual situation will be longer. Typical sources of complexity would be anything that demonstrated friction, like anything that you can recall that maybe got you stumbling a little bit, at least in the beginning, right? Because obviously you want to demonstrate that you solved the problem, that there's a happy ending at the end. But maybe something that got you stumbled in the beginning, maybe there was a data overload, maybe there were too many KPIs, maybe the KPIs were new, maybe they were pointing in different directions. Maybe there were no KPIs and there was no data, and you had to go and interview 55 million different stakeholders. That's actually also a source of complexity. So obviously, like if your the source of complexity has anything to do with data, you can never go wrong, because in my experience, it's the easiest one to demonstrate. Like novelty of data, or data overload, data not agreeing to each other, or data not agreeing with each other on one level, so you need to dig deeper. But there are any other sources of complexity of the problem, including organizational complexity, like what stakeholders to talk to, unclear organizational maps. So literally anything. And as I said, looping back, it really depends on the situation that you're talking about. Anything you add, Gigi?
No, but I rather liked your phrase that length being a byproduct of complexity was very profound. I wrote it down.
Elusive, obvious, isn't it?
All right. Tian's got another question, so I'll just pick that one quickly and then I'll do another one because this is a really quick one. So, when answering follow up questions, probing, do you answer in any particular format, bracket star? No, because the follow up question could be anything. It won't necessarily be a question that requires star, and it could be any number of questions, and therefore there's never going to be a particular format that you follow. So it could be as simple as a yes no answer, or it could be a discussion of some technical slash functional knowledge that you have, or it could be giving them further insight into how you behaved in that particular situation. So no, no firm format. The only format is answer the question, inane as that sounds. Answer the question, and answer only the question. I think that's one other tip actually that I don't know if I've got a video on this on YouTube, but I probably should put it on. Um, a bad practice from candidates is doing more than answering the follow-up question. I quite often have candidates, when I ask a follow-up question, they then answer the question, or sometimes don't even answer the question and then disappear off on another tangent, or continue on anticipating that I might ask another question on top of the question I've just asked. Don't do that. Constrain yourself to, if someone's asked you a question, answer the question. Once you think you've answered the question, you can ask them, have I answered your question to your satisfaction? And if you haven't, then they can clarify why you haven't answered it to their satisfaction. And if you have, they can say yes, and then you can all move on with the interview. Okay, so I said that was going to be quick, it wasn't, but hey, I said I would take the next one. So here it goes. There's Tristan. Tristan looks like he's at a party. Does that look like a party to you in the
That
background?
does look like a party, and like
That
some
looks
very
like
fancy
Tristan is
place as
having
well.
an awesome night out. Good for you, Tristan. Right. So I have my first phone screen this week. What should I expect from the first phone screen? How much should I focus on preparing for typical interview questions versus behavioral based questions? Okay, Tristan. So The first phone screen can take on many different forms, although there is broadly a clear framework for how Amazon interviews. When you get to the specifics of individual interviews themselves, interviewers or teams have quite a lot of flexibility as to how they approach them. So there will be some teams who choose at first round to only focus on functional questions. There'll be some teams at first round who choose to focus only on behavioral questions. There will be some teams at first round that choose to have the both of them. Almost everybody is very likely to ask you some level of introductory questions, even though it's actually from a process perspective and a policy perspective, not actually something you're supposed to focus on. It seems to be that one's gone out the window in terms of adherence over the past few years. So it's actually impossible for us to tell you exactly what you're going to experience, because your experience, Tristan, is going to be very different to Tian's experience, who's going to be very different from Carsten's experience, because there's so much flexibility, which means you need to prepare yourself for any possibility. So definitely be prepared to walk someone through your resume, but it seems to happen. Definitely be prepared to talk to people about tell me about yourself. And there are examples of all of this on the YouTube channel. Definitely be prepared to talk to why you want this particular role. If someone asks you why Amazon, everyone, they don't mean why Amazon, they mean why this particular job inside Amazon. Just a quick tip for you there. Once you've covered off those, we call those the hygiene questions. Then you've got to prepare yourself for behavioral questions. If you can, as I said earlier on to Carsten, try and find out what the key LPs are for your role, either from the recruiter or from the job description. And then obviously be prepared to talk about your career and specific projects that you've done in the past, because it's through that particular route that interviewers tend to try and probe for your functional expertise. I think that's about it. Anything to add, Yevgeny?
No, that's the phone screen for you folks.
Cool. You want to take the next one?
Yeah, I'll take the next one. Okay, so this one is from Srinivas, and the question is: so I have the final loop interview this Thursday, but my job advert has been removed from the Amazon website. Is that normal? Yeah, I mean, normal in the sense of it may happen if you have a loop. It may not happen if you have a loop. So if I were you, I wouldn't read into these things too much, to be honest, because Amazon has a hiring system that interacts with everything, with LinkedIn, with everything else via various different APIs, and the recruiter is, might be marking some things off, and it triggers then the deletion of that job from the Amazon website. So just focus on the stuff that you can control, which is the preparation for your interview, and the rest just leave it to Amazon to work this out. Anything you'd add, Gigi?
No, I mean, just to offer some reassurance, there can be lots of reasons why a job description goes down. They could be making some adaptations to it where they want to change some wording. They could have just decided they don't want to take on any more people into the funnel because they've already got their hands full. So lots of things that can happen that are completely innocuous and nothing whatsoever to worry about. So exactly to Evgeny's point, don't worry about it. If you've got your interview, just keep plowing ahead until they tell you that you are no longer going to be interviewed for one reason or another. Okay, so I'm going to quickly pick this one, and then I'll pick the next one as well, because this will be a quick one. So Copol is asking us what key leadership principles an interviewee should prepare for the role of program manager. So maybe you weren't here when I chatted with Carsten earlier, Copol. So different hiring managers require different leadership principles, particularly for program manager roles, which is such a catch all bucket term for a huge range of different roles with different requirements and different teams and different scopes. So of all of the job descriptions that I review, I can tell you program manager has the widest variation in leadership principles that bubble up. So what you need to do, Koppel, is, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. If I'm not, I'm sorry, I've butchered it. You need to speak to your recruiter and ask them if they will share with you the key leadership principles for the role. You need to check out the playlist on the YouTube channel, which has 2 videos of me doing job description deconstructions live. And if you still don't have the answer that you are looking for, I do offer a paid for service where I will do that for you. Okay, I'm going to quickly pick this one then. Dominic. Hey, Dominic. Does Amazon look at past answers used for prior interviews I have had to ensure that there isn't a reuse of past answers? Right, before I answer that, I'm going to struggle with my blind again. It's this time of year, Yevgeny, where the light in my office is just rubbish. There we go. That's better. So no, they won't. From if you're talking about when you say okay, it needs to be clear here. So if you mean prior interviews in prior applications for different roles, then no, they will not be looking at the answers that you gave for those prior applications in different roles when you're applying for this current role. If you're saying, are they going to look for past answers from prior interviews in this particular application cycle for this particular role, then yes, the hiring manager and the bar raiser both have access to that information and will know if you have reused a story that you used in earlier rounds of this particular cycle. Do you want to take the part two of Dominic's?
Yeah, I'll take the part too. Okay, so a question is, what are some of the recommendations you have for product managers? Obviously, use the star and the leadership principles. I feel like that I need to take the second one now, because we don't have any. I don't have any specific recommendations for
Yeah,
specifically for product
yeah,
managers.
and yeah, could you I think it's a bit of a vague question. Although you're asking for specific recommendations, it's rather a vague question. So recommendations in the context of what? What you're gonna wear? Kind of
Um,
so Dominic, I
uh,
would
uh,
just say if you have a specific question, come back with a specific question, but I'm not sure we can answer that one.
yeah, yeah. Um, but do add a specific version, and we'll fish it out, and we'll I'll give you priority. Right. So there's a quick question, logistical question here. Is it possible to pay for job interview with mini or complete packages by PayPal? Yes, you can. When you go to our checkout page in Stripe, it actually will offer you PayPal as a payment method. It's quite nifty.
Do you have to click through? How do you know that you can use Stripe? You can use PayPal within Stripe because someone did email us this, I think, last week as well. So can you describe the UX so that Carsten knows what to expect?
And so you just literally you go to our website, so www.day1.careers. Um, you go to, I'm assuming you're not after job interview with Mini, but Amazon interview with Mini
Yeah.
AI. So you go to the sales page of the product, to Amazon interview with, then you click buy, then you select what version you want, the Mini, the complete, the ultimate. So then you click buy now. It takes you to what looks like a product detail page. You click add to cart. When you go to check out your cart, you will have a like a checkout page in like a bluey checkout page, and in that checkout page, um, it will have mini tabs for the payment method. So you can either use Apple Pay if you're doing this on Safari, mobile or desktop, or you can select Google Pay if you're doing it in the Chrome browser. You can select just a normal credit card, or you can select the PayPal.
Thank you, Evgeny. Right.
Be to oblige.
I will just pick Danilo. Danilo, I hope. Sorry. So you're an L4 for a year and a half. You left for a master's and now you're looping for an L5. How do I demonstrate you're able for an L5? What are the main differences? Okay, so it's almost impossible to articulate the main differences between an L4 and L5 because it's very specific to role. But if you simplify the whole thing down, it's about the scope and the complexity of the work that you have done and the level of competence that you demonstrate in your example. So there are leveling guidelines for every single different job family, and they will detail the difference between an L4 and L5, but the specifics are obviously very different. The leveling guidelines for a finance manager are going to be incredibly different to a systems maintenance engineer in a data center type role. So the simplification is around scope and complexity and the sophistication in which you're able to operate. I'm not really sure how to articulate it any more specifically because there just is no level below that. Unless, Yevgeny, you've got a way of articulating it better than that.
No, I mean, I don't think I do. I mean, L4. Gosh. Yeah, it's literally you'd have to like aim for the best in terms of, show the most complexity, the most impact, but then you just have to let the chips fall where they may, because they need to benchmark you versus L5s.
Yeah, we wish we could be exact and say this is exactly what an L5 looks like and this is exactly what an L4 looks like, but it doesn't work like that, both for reasons because what exactly an L5 looks like in one particular job family is different to another job family, and the gap between an L4 and L5 is going to be different between one job family and another job family. And on top of that, the bar is always rising. So, what that difference looked like 12 months ago is going to be very different to what that difference looks like now. So, unfortunately, it's literally an impossible question to answer for us or anybody on the planet, quite frankly.
Or I mean, even for Amazon, that's why they have a bar raiser in there, right? So that they can have a live check on what's an L5 these days, what's an L4 these
Mm.
days, and that's why it's in that debrief that they make that decision with the bar raiser's help.
Oh, I think we've got a two-parter here from the next person whose name I
Okay,
will not venture to try and
okay,
articulate
you want
because
me
I
to
would
try? Let
offend
me
them.
try.
Yeah, I'm going to make you do that because I know I would offend them.
Okay, so that would be Oriratile. Tell me if I've butchered it or not.
I
If
wish
it
there
was,
was a way for people to kind of help us know how to pronounce their names. You'd want some kind of a little kind of audio button where people say their names and then we can play
yeah,
that so we don't
exactly.
have to have the responsibility for doing it. Oh, we've
Yeah.
got perfect pronunciation. Well
Ah,
done.
look at that! Look at that! I've tried. I did my best. I did my best. All right. I'm currently interviewing for a role, but I saw another role I'm interested in. Okay, cool. Ah, no, that's actually this is the full version. Should I apply for the other role, express interest, or wait for the outcome of the conclusion of the first? So I'd say apply for the role that you're interested in, and just be transparent with the with the recruiters as to kind of where your interests and motivations lie and why. And you might be able to interview both, or if the roles are similar, and they might be able to unite this kind of you into the same interview process, then you'll spend some time interviewing with part of one team, and then sometimes some of your interviews will be the part with the other team, and then they will decide almost like where you qualify or who wants you, and then you might have cell calls for both teams. But yeah, just apply for whichever role you believe is relevant to your profile, and just explain to the recruiter the situation. Anything kind of more that you would add on GG?
No, nothing. Perfect. Right, I'm gonna not her. Will all candidates for the same role, same position, and same location be interviewed by the same Amazonians? Nope. That's it. No, I have nothing further to say. No, because the expectation is that everybody knows what the bar is and everyone is equally competent at interviewing. So and we know that's not the truth. The reality is there's always going to be a level of deviation. Some people are going to be better interviewers than other people. Some people are going to have a different view of what the bar is, blah, blah, blah. But that's ultimately what the bar raiser is for. The bar raiser is there to set the standard and make sure that everyone is looking through the same lens. But no, it's not going to be exactly the same individuals for everybody that's coming through. It's effectively a group that that the hiring manager tells the recruiter they would be willing to have on their loops. And then the recruiter will just see who is available and manage the logistics of diaries. So probably there's going to be a 60 to 70% overlap between the individual candidates that are coming through on an individual rec, but not 100%. Okay. Do
Cool.
you
I
want
think
to
there
do?
was I think there was one from Tristan in the middle there.
Yeah.
This one. Yeah.
Oh, did
Okay,
I
let me
miss it?
try.
Sorry.
No, I'm picking this up then. So I'm interviewing for a position, expecting 2 to 3 years of experience. Is this an L1 or L2? Sounds like an L4 if this is a corporate role. That's what it sounds like to me. Graduate to kind of with 2 to 3 years experience sounds like an L4 to me. How much complexity in my star answers do you recommend to be compelling? It's like what's your expression there, Gigi? How long is a piece of string? Is that
Yes. How
does that
long is a
apply
piece of
here?
string question?
Yeah. Also, yes, my photo is from a party. Well, there you go. See.
Looks like a good
Right.
party. I wish I was there.
No, I know, I know. Right. So Tristan, the thing is, the how much is enough for them in terms of complexity? Only they know, and like this, it's impossible for you to know this, for us to know this. All we can tell you is that for roles that are more senior, more is expected. For roles that are less senior, less is expected. Um, how much is expected exactly is it's a floating point in the air because they're not comparing you to other candidates, right? They're comparing you to existing Amazonians, and if they've been successful at hiring more and more experienced people at the same level, which sounds to me like an L4, then the bar for every new candidate who wants to get into Amazon is also increasing. Does that happen in practice? I don't believe it is. Amazon will disagree. Maybe Gigi will disagree, but I don't believe. At least it's not very consistent. But what does that bear for you? Like, what does it mean for you as a candidate? Is if you imagine all situations at work that you went through, and you put them on some sort of ranking in terms of complexity, right? For your Amazon interview, create a curated collection of those that are the most complex, according to you. Like those are the times when you might be solving something novel, something you haven't done before, something that stumbled you, and then you overcame some, I don't know, maybe you didn't need to investigate, dive deep, anything. Like, it depends on obviously what the context is, but pick your best within the constraints and limitations of your career, and then you just have to obviously present it to the best possible way, which is why we offer all of our courses, and then you just have to hope for the best and let the chips fall where they may. Anything you add, Gigi?
So I do offer one other benchmark when candidates ask me this same question for what would qualify as um, a complex enough or a bar raising enough example. And one idea I offer up is to reflect on what you did and reflect on, and this only works if you work in largish type teams, but maybe teams of 4 to however many, four, let's say 5+ people, let's say. Look at the team that you operate in and ask yourself, could anyone else in my team that I work with have done what I did? Can I imagine anyone else in my team having done what I did? If the answer is yes, from the best to the worst of the people that are in my team, I reckon they all would have done what I did in that situation, then it's not going to be a bar raising example, because what they're trying to establish is that how you behave and the problems that you solve and the challenges that you successfully navigate would only have been done in that way by the top 50% that are currently operating at that role or in that role or a similar role at that level in Amazon. So, what you want to be doing is looking around your current team or the team that you were operating in at the time and saying to yourself, do you know what? I reckon only the best two other people or only the top 20% other people in the org that I was in at the time would have done what I did in that situation. If you can say yes to that as a premise, then you've probably got yourself a strong story. Okay, moving on. I can see you've gone on silent there, Yevgeny, so that's fine. I'll pick the next person. So, ba 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 ba
I
ba.
think it's your turn, no?
Yeah, it is my turn actually, so ignore that. But you're on silent anyway. Okay.
I'm on
Um,
silent because I'm coughing. I still have the cough, so I
oh,
don't
you
want
still got a cough. You haven't
to.
got rid of that yet. That's nasty. Have you taken some antibiotics or something? All right, so back to Dominic. In an interview for Amazon, I assume you mean is it. I'm a terrible person for typos, as Yevgeny well knows. My typos are so bad. And I don't even bother correcting them anymore. I just leave it up to Yevgeny to interpret it. Um, is it recommended to literally start with saying the situation for the given example, then the task action result was, or could I use other similar words to imply the same? All right. So I think this is one of those things where Yevgeny and I potentially part ways on how we feel about this. So I am very comfortable with a candidate saying, the situation was blah, blah, blah. So my task was blah, blah, blah. And the reason why I'm comfortable with it is I feel that for candidates who can often get lost and lose track of where they are, or just kind of lose clarity of thought because they're thinking so many steps ahead, I find it's a very simple way of reducing the scope of what their brain has to think about at any point in time. And by signaling to their brains using the words, the situation was, their brain then can just constrict itself down to just articulating the situation. And then when they move on to saying, the task was, their brains know it just needs to constrain itself down to articulating the task, so on and so forth. So I find it a very nifty trick to help people focus their minds on what they're supposed to be talking about at that point in time. Um, I, it's not the most kind of dynamic, glamorous, kind of organic way of speaking. But given that Amazon is very clear that their expectation is that you will come prepared with the star model, I, as an interviewer in Amazon, have never had any concerns about people actually following that structure. I would much rather that the content of their narrative is clear and crisp. And if they need to signal that for themselves by saying situation, task, action, result, that's fine by me. Not to say that it's not fine by Yevgeny, but I know that, for Yevgeny, that in fact, I won't speak on your behalf, Yevgeny. That's very rude of me.
No, I mean to be honest, it's fundamentally they don't care, as long as they can understand you, and if it helps you, do it. Um, the difference will become is like when they purchase our courses and we start teaching them a slightly different framework, and then they're gonna start.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a bit
the
weird if you try
ecosystem
and
was
follow our
what is
framework.
this? So that's why I'm like if you're using Star, then yeah. If you if
It's
you if you've purchased our courses and you're using our framework, maybe don't.
so true. I'm just imagining what that would look like.
Here are
Yeah.
the OKRs. Okay.
My OKRs were. Very good point there. Very good point.
All right.
Okay,
Let me
let's
take the
move
next
on.
one.
Oh yeah, you're
Uh,
next.
oh,
Okay.
oh
Oh,
no, Chris.
it's
No, it's
that
you.
time. It's
It's that
that
time.
time.
It's a wonderful time of the year.
Yeah, it's the most wonderful time of the
Of the
show.
year.
Right. Actually, I'll get told off singing that tune here because we're not allowed to sing anything Christmas related in my house until December the 1st, or my husband gets very upset. So, everybody, we're going to just take a very quick pause here. We have a request for you. As you can tell, we put a lot of effort into this channel for you, and it is our pleasure and privilege to do so. But we would like to ask you a little bit of a favor in response, and that is that you show some engagement in our content. What do I mean by engagement? Well, engagement is two things: to either give each of our videos and this video a like. I don't think the thumbs up is going to be working. A like, or to put a little comment underneath a video that you've watched. Hi, Gigi. Hi, Evgeny. I'm nervous. Wish me luck. Question if you have it underneath the YouTube videos. That basically signals to YouTube that this content is being served to the right person and that that person values and appreciates that content. And what it will do is it will lift us up in the algorithm for the types of search terms that you have searched on to find us, which means that our content, which we are very proud to say is very current, relevant, specific, accurate, is going to surface above some of the other absolute trash that exists on YouTube about Amazon interviewing. So in the next 30 seconds, let's say, I'm going to ask you to please give this particular stream a little thumbs up. And then in any other streams or videos that you watch, please do the same. It is 30 seconds. I'm going to play you a little song video to entertain you whilst you're doing that. It is a little bit loud, so if you have headphones on like I do, you might just want to lift them off your ears. And please enjoy this little treat.
Please like the stream now. Please like the stream now. Please like the stream now. Please like the stream. 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 Like the stream.
There we go, folks. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I wasn't tracking if we lost anyone, so we usually lose a few people at this stage because they realize that we are completely unhinged. But there we go.
Yeah, we're totally bonkers.
Totally bonkers. But I can see how many people have liked the video, and it hasn't gone up materially since I played that. So please, folks, do just give us a little like. It's a millisecond of your time, and it does us huge favors. So we would appreciate that. Okay, so whose turn was it? Yours or mine?
I think it was mine, and I think it's this one. So the question is, what sorts of questions can I expect in a bar raiser round? I'm assuming for L6. And the answer is, I have no idea. I don't think anyone does. In terms of behavioral questions, the questions that the bar raiser will ask you, they will relate to the leadership principles that the bar raiser will either take on themselves or will be asked by the hiring manager, hey, can you please take those? I've been in the teams that I worked in, we would have like a pre-interview little debrief together with the bar raiser, and then in some of them, the bar raiser would say, hey, I'm probably going to take these LPs if everyone's okay, or as a hiring manager would say, hey, can you take those LPs because because I'm finding them a bit tricky. So that happened as well. Anyway, so the bar raiser will have some LPs assigned to them. They're going to ask you questions that in the bar raiser's mind map to the behaviors that demonstrate that leadership principle. What LP will be assigned to the bar raiser? Your best bet is to ask your recruiter. Some recruiters will tell you, some won't. But at the end of the day, I guess my question to you is, why do you care? Because the bar raiser, in terms of their the way that the Amazon interview process works, is no one makes a decision to hire you or not on the spot. So the bar raiser, just like anyone else who participates in the same interview process, will take plenty of notes based on what you share during the interview. They will then grade your responses and make sense of what you've shared during the interview. They will make up their mind based on just your responses, whether they want to hire you or not. But then they will come to the debrief, and they might change their mind based on what everyone else has taken notes of and how everyone else graded your responses. So as far as I'm concerned, what I would, as far as my advice would be, is try to understand what leadership principles they will be interviewing you on, and then prepare responses to answer. To demonstrate behaviors that map to those leadership principles. And then it doesn't matter which interviewer takes which leadership principle. Anything you would add, Gigi?
No, absolutely. Like there's nothing special, bizarre as that sounds. There's nothing special about what the bar raiser is going to ask you. Okay, so Kupal. So you've prepared almost 25 examples. That's a good number. That's a very good number. Well done. That could not have been easy. For my loop interview, and you've been practicing them in front of the mirror. Okay. I've got some thoughts about that, but okay. My question is, should I keep more complex and innovative examples for the bar raiser interview? All right, I'm just going to pop this out because it's quite large. So no, do not try and keep your examples that you think are your best for the bar raiser for the reasons that Yevgeny just described, which is they'll look at all of the data and make their assessment on all of the data, not just on the examples that you shared with them. And you have no way of knowing whether the questions that the bar raiser is going to ask you are actually going to be appropriate for the examples that you think that you have held for your bar raiser. And there is, trust me, nothing worse as an interviewer than asking a question and have someone giving you an answer that bears no relationship whatsoever to the question that you've asked. That is a surefire way to a not inclined if you are actually not answering the question. So, no, I would not do that. The one other thing I wanted to add is you were saying you were practicing in front of the mirror. My suggestion is actually that you record yourself, because practicing in front of the mirror, very few people's brains are dynamic enough to be able to divide itself in half and manage the process of um, telling a story, simultaneously managing the process of observing, consuming, and analyzing that story. So, what I suggest you do is, instead of in front of the mirror, just get your phone. Most of us have these phones now. Just get your phone and record yourself telling your narrative, so you can completely focus on telling the narrative itself, and then review that footage and assess it for whatever standards it is that you are looking for in your response. That would be a much more efficient and effective way of analyzing your own performance. Would you like to pick the next one?
Yes, please. So there's one from Steven. Hi, Gigi. I love your content. Thank you. Um,
I love the fact that I must sound like that. Thank you.
well, I mean, I did my best.
That's so funny. Oh, sorry, go on.
It's hard for a baritone, right? Right. So
I could always try and drop my voice down there as well.
exactly. Okay, it's amazing. Love it. Okay, so I had a recruiter reach out to me for an L6 PMT position at Ring. Okay, cool. That's a very
Cool.
nice team.
Mm.
She's asking me for my comp expectations. Should I hold off giving that info? Well, look, I mean, it really depends on what they will let you get away with, right? Because some recruiters will allow you to do that. And some recruiters would tell you, no, sorry, we can't move on unless you share your comp expectations right now. So if I were you, I would actually do the pre-work, because in order to share your comp expectations, it doesn't take you like a massive academic research to figure those out. So at Amazon, the way that your compensation is set is there's a compensation range, which is, again, it's not that unique to Amazon. Most Fortune 500 companies, they have this. They have a compensation range for total compensation for every role, every level, and every location, because the labor market varies from location to location. So just try and see, do some research online. Go to the likes of Blind, likes of Glassdoor, pay scales, levels.fyi, and see what ranges are being posted by folk for your role, your level, and your location, and see what offers have been made recently. And then pick a number that is that you believe is fair versus what you have to bring. And then hopefully when you get the offer, if you, for example, do more research and you realize that you lowballed yourself, you can always renegotiate. You can say, I've done more research. So but if categorically you're being pressed to produce a number like right this second, and you just don't have the time to do your research, you can try and delay that conversation to the offer stage. But then again, as I said, some recruiters might let you get away with it, and some of them might not. Anything you would add, Gigi?
Nope, nothing to add. Right, so SR71 is back. Okay, interesting. Fine, good to know. SR71.
SR71. Why don't you paste your name and let me try and pronounce it for you?
Oh,
And you
that'll
can
be
then tell me
hilarious.
if I've
Oh,
butchered it or
Yevgeny's
not.
always up for a challenge. SR71. Go on, give it a go. It could entertain us all. Right. So whilst you're doing that SR71, I'm going to pick this one. So, do you have any videos explaining what kind of conversation happens between the bar raiser and the hiring manager when taking decisions or working backwards? Okay. I was just, you might have seen, I was a bit distracted. I was just scrolling through our YouTube channel to see if I've actually provided a detailed video ever about what goes on inside a debrief. And I don't think I have. So I might think about that. But broadly speaking, there is no one-on-one conversations between bar raisers and hiring managers. It doesn't work like that. Everybody who's been on the loop it used to be sits in a room together. Now it's obviously a virtual room, but they all get together and have a discussion about the candidate. Exactly how that discussion goes actually varies enormously depending on the bar raiser. Every bar raiser has their own style for how they facilitate that particular meeting. So because I like good structure, I would always want to know what the key leadership principles were from a hiring manager. And then I would work through each of those individual leadership principles, inviting all of the different interviewers to share their insights based on those leadership principles, starting with the person who was specifically assigned that leadership principle, and then letting others come in and provide their contribution. I would then drive everyone to a calibration of that leadership principle and move on to the next leadership principle until I'd gone through all of the leadership principles that were the key leadership principles. And then we might discuss some other leadership principles that might have popped up as being particularly strong or particularly weak. And at the end of that, we would also be having a conversation about the functional skills, which I would assume the hiring manager was happy with unless they told me otherwise. And we would then, on balance, come to a decision as to whether we considered this person to be raising the bar and wanted to give them an offer. But that was my process. Other bar raisers I know would have gone through a very different process. So there is no specific way of having that dialogue in a debrief. It will change, and it will also change in the dynamic of the debrief. I have my preferred structure, but sometimes that structure just doesn't work because some of the people that I'm working with have decided they don't want to follow my structure, and I have to make a call in the moment as to whether I am going to lay down the law and force them to follow a structure that I prefer, or if I'm going to be a little bit more flexible and follow a structure that seems to be more organic and help the group move along more rapidly. So the answer to your question is there is no answer to your question, and you cannot work backwards from that information because there is no answer to that question. That's it. I have nothing more to offer there.
Neither do I. I've seen all kinds of bar raisers. I've seen things. Right.
I'm sure you have. What did you prefer, Yevgeny? What type of structure and facilitation of a bar raiser did you prefer? Did you prefer the GG very strict, this is the structure we're going to follow approach, or did you prefer this more organic, let's just kind of have a chat and see where this goes type approach, or something in
So
between?
I've literally never experienced. I've never had an experience where the bar raiser would come without a structure. So always had very very structured bar raisers, and so I have nothing to
Right.
compare with.
Fair enough.
Uh,
Fair enough.
And in a
My
lot of
type of
cases,
bar raisers.
yeah, you know, no, totally your type. No, I'd say your type in terms of having the structure, in terms of being insightful and probing and challenging. Maybe one. Everyone else wasn't that good.
Oh,
So I
don't
think
say that, Yevgeny. You can't say that on our
sorry,
channel. And
sorry.
you obviously, well, so that folks, just so that you all know, Yevgeny was never part of any of my loops. We didn't meet
No.
until we had both left Amazon. So, had he been part of my loops, he would have said, in terms of insightful, probing, and challenging, only one, and that was you, Gigi.
Yes, exactly. But I would say that the biggest the biggest driver of the actual conversation in the room in the debrief was how kind of split opinioned the team was. If you had a process where half of the room wants to bring the candidate, the other half doesn't, and then the hiring manager and the bar raiser have different opinions. I mean, this is when the debriefs would go for a long time.
Yes. And
Um,
as a bar raiser, it's really tough because you only have 30 minutes and you're watching the clock and trying to work out how you're going to get to a conclusion when everyone is just talking in circles. It's a really, I'm sure most of you will not appreciate this, but it is a really, really difficult responsibility being a bar raiser. It's the hardest thing I ever did at Amazon, and I did some pretty challenging projects at Amazon. And it's like sometimes it is like herding cats who are very vocal with lots of opinions. And yeah, sometimes it really was not fun. I got shouted at a couple of times by a couple of
It
people.
wasn't me.
Well, it wasn't you. But yeah, fun times that I actually miss. But okay, so folks, if we have no more questions, I guess we can wind things up. So do not leave, because I don't know if we mentioned this at the beginning, but we do have some amazing freebies to give you that I promise you will not want to miss. So should we just put those up now, Evgeny? Right, so let's just do that and do that. Right, so you have to start because it's on your side. That's it. There we go. So, folks, please head to the URL where you will get access to three essentially incredible things. The first thing you will get access to is a free taster sample of our amazing Amazon Interview Whiz course. What we do in that course, which makes us pretty much unique, in fact, I believe it is unique because it's our proprietary learning model, is we have broken down how you can think about the leadership principles in a very, very different way than you'll ever find anywhere else. We'll help you see the different ways in that you can go into the leadership principle, which will massively help you identifying good examples from your career history that align with that leadership principle. It'll also talk you through our coaching system, what the interviewer is looking for, so that you know what type of thing you really need to put into your narrative. And then we will also show you a bit of a demo, me interviewing me, about how it might go in an actual interview. There's tons of other stuff in the full course itself. As Evgeny mentioned earlier, we have a unique model for approaching STAR, which is what we call kind of a superstar charge model, which is so much better than the traditional STAR model. But this little freebie that we're going to give you is just a little bit of a taster of that course. It focuses on customer obsession. Pretty much everyone's going to get interviewed at customer obsession at one point or another. So we chose that one because everyone's going to get value from it. So please do go take that. We will also give you access to what we call the Amazon the Amazon interview preparation tool pack, which includes a few different kind of models, kind of intellectual models to help you with your preparation. But more importantly, it includes an enormous list of what we call Amazon plausible interview questions. They are not the exact Amazon interview questions. We are not allowed to give you those. That would be a breach of our contract. But based on our knowledge and expertise of the leadership principles, we've basically created our own very plausible questions that you could get at an Amazon interview. So you can use those for practice. The final thing that you will then get if you go to that URL is access to our Heartbeat community, which is a massive community of Amazon prospects, people who are going through the Amazon interview process. I think last week, Evgeny, we had about 3,000. I think we must have about 3,300-ish, maybe more this week. Everybody is interviewing at Amazon. You can ask each other questions. You can buddy up and do mock interviews with each other. We've also got a little chat bot thing there in the community, which is basically trained on the YouTube channel. So you can just ask it questions, and rather than have trawl through all my fabulous interview video content on YouTube that I've put so much effort into, you could just bypass all of that and go ask the bot, and the bot will essentially answer the questions for you. So there's just amazing value there, totally for free, no commitments, no obligations, and you can meet up with other potential candidates. So there is just no reason not to go and grab yourself that freebie. We do have a couple of last minute questions, and we've got like 2 minutes to go, Evgeny. So we would just pick one, and then it's chicken dinner time for me.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's just, because it's the last one. Okay. Sorry for the last minute question. I'm developing my stories right now for my upcoming loop. Can you suggest a way to identify if a story aligns well with bias for action, invent and simplify? Yes, I can suggest a way of finding out if a story aligns, which is to actually do our course. Where we will explain to you exactly what bias for action and invent and simplify are all about. But I'll do a very short version of you. Bias for action is about creating momentum. So moving forward, making stuff happen, maybe in a scenario where procrastination is a possible outcome. They are trying to test for people who can create momentum in their business and move things forwards. Apologize there, my dog is barking. Invent and simplify, it's about invention. It's about coming up with ideas about new ways of doing things. The simplify bit is about making things easier, to coming up with more simple ways of doing things, reducing complexity, saving money, saving time. They are very, very, very different leadership principles. And hopefully that kind of high level narrative has shown you why. So we are now at time, and we are going to go. I'm going to have my chicken dinner, and maybe you're going to have your chicken wings. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Please do spend some time on the YouTube channel. If you do, say hi, thumbs up, drive the engagement for us. Please come to the community, and if you come to the community, make use of it. Honestly, we probably get about 100 people a day, maybe slightly less, joining the community, and I am constantly surprised by how little interaction they have with each other and with the free tools that we're providing on the community. So don't be shy, join the community, make use of it. It's free. There will only ever be positive value in something that's free. So we hope to see you at the community. And if not, we will hopefully see you this time next week. All good, Yevgeny?
Amazing. See you guys next week.
Ciao, everybody. Take care. Be
Ciao.
safe.
Bye bye.
Bye.